Good morning, everybody. It's February the 5th, Wednesday morning, and this is today's Thankful Carnivore Report. I'm Brett, your Thankful Carnivore. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to me ramble about things related to the carnivore way of eating that I find interesting or want to talk about. Check me out across all my social media at thankful.carnivore on Instagram, on Twitter, where the meat eating savages just run wild. It's Stickman Bleeding. That's STICKMAN BLEEDIN. Don't add a G. Facebook, YouTube, Thankful Carnivore. And remember, my friends, you can get a carnivore coaching session for under $20 from meatrx.com. That's right, a 30-minute carnivore coaching session from meatrx.com for under $20. Check it out. All right, I want to talk to you all today about a subject I don't think I've talked about specifically. I've mentioned around it and why I use it still and whatnot, but I haven't gotten into it too terribly. And that's cannabis. I am a legal medical marijuana patient in the state of Florida. And for me, cannabis was something I had a bad experience with when I was young and never touched again sparingly. I mean, like sparingly, like maybe 5 times over say from 1980, 1979, 1980. Yeah, that's when the bad experience occurred. From 1980 to 2015, I may have touched cannabis 5 or 6 times tops. It just wasn't my thing. I was not interested in it. Even as a musician, a working musician, it was around all the time. Everybody in the band smoked pot, but me. I was the guy that passed left, passed right during rehearsals, during breaks, at gigs, whatnot, after the gig. It just wasn't my thing. But in January 2015, I was in pretty bad shape. I weighed 289 pounds. My mental illness was out of control. Literally, it was horrible. My psychiatrist was recommending that I seriously consider electroshock therapy or a long-term hospitalization. I was having a lot of suicidal ideation. It was not a good time. But thankfully, thanks be to God, a dear lady mentioned to me, "Hey, have you ever thought about medical marijuana?" And I hadn't. And I did a little research and saw some anecdotal evidence that people were treating their symptoms and they were feeling better. They were getting some relief. And my wife and I, at this point, we've been on the meds for 20 plus years. I was a compliant patient. I took my meds as prescribed. I followed doctor's orders because I didn't want to be crazy anymore. And I just got worse and worse and worse. So after seeing what I could find about cannabis, my wife and I were like, what do we have to lose? There was nothing to lose. I mean, the worst that could happen is it wouldn't work. And the long and short of it is that I found out in February of 2015 that cannabis treated all of my mental illness symptoms thousands of times better than any prescribed medication, any prescribed pharmaceutical medication did. None of the SSRIs did as well. The Ativan didn't treat the anxiety nearly as well. You had SSRIs, the antipsychotics, the mood stabilizers. They didn't touch the depression in any way, shape, or form compared to what cannabis did, past tense, did in that regard. And I was able to go to sleep. Cannabis would help me go to sleep. And I still use it to help me go to sleep at night. Man, and I'm sleeping so good. 7 hours uninterrupted sleep now is the norm and not a rarity. It's a wonderful thing. But let me get back to the early days, and I didn't know what would happen when I took cannabis. I didn't, and I ingested it. I didn't smoke it. I don't like smoking it. I don't like what it does to my lungs. It makes my lungs, I don't like how, I just don't like smoking marijuana. Never have, never will. But I cannot deny the medicinal benefits seem to be greater. They just do when I smoke it. I don't like it. I prefer vaping the dispensary oils, and it treated all my symptoms beautifully. So that by the end of 2015, I was off all the crazy meds, off all the antipsychotics, the SSRIs, gone, done with. By the end of 2016, I was off the Ativan. By the end of 2017, I was off the Trazodone, which is an SSRI, but I was using it to sleep. It's an off-label use. And it put me to sleep, and it wouldn't let me dream either. I didn't dream for years while I was taking this crap. And I took Trazodone and Ativan for over 8 years, and Prozac for over 20. Cannabis did a light years better job than any of that. And, I've talked about it at length in my interviews and whatnot. Without cannabis, there is no Thankful Carnivore. Without cannabis, I don't live to get to see Jordan Peterson talk on Joe Rogan about his way of eating. I just don't. I would not have survived. Life was, it was awful. But cannabis got me to where I could perceive reality again. Now, I don't recommend everybody who's got, anxiety problems or sleep issues or whatnot. I'm not a cannabis doctor. I'm just somebody who uses it for my purposes. It helps me. Today, I still use it because without cannabis, I am the happiest, most obnoxious, hypercritical jerk you could never want to be around. That's just the truth, the short and simple fact. If you doubt me, check with my wife, Carnivore Art Life on Instagram. Ask her, see what she says. She wants me to have cannabis every day because then her quality of life is better too, believe me. Because she doesn't want to be around an obnoxious, hypercritical jerk, and I don't want her to be around a hypercritical, obnoxious jerk. Why? What does cannabis do? I don't know. I would love to be studied. I would love to know why cannabis treated my mental illness symptoms so much better than these pharmaceutical meds that I was assured would help, that never really did. I would love to know how cannabis helps me sleep. And not just fall asleep, but stay asleep. How? How does my personality, the learned behavior from my decades of being a mentally ill human being and all the sickness-based ways I learned to cope with my illness, I'm still trying to get rid of that stuff in so many ways. There's old behaviors, my old tendencies. It's taken a lot of effort, and I'm not complete. It's not done yet. But I'm not depressed, and I'm so happy every day. It's a worthy pursuit for me. But why, how does this work? We need studies on this. I would love to be studied. I am still to this day stunned that there's not a line at my door, people waiting to take my blood to find out, A, why am I not dead? I haven't had sugar, plants, or carbs in 568 days. Why am I even still alive? Because fiber's essential, carbs are essential, right? Except they're not. But I'd love to know why cannabis does what it does. But because of the federal prohibitions, there's not been any, it's against the law to study it without special permission. And to find unbiased researchers in this field is pretty difficult. You know, for me, it's always been medicinal. Now, I'm not against people that use it recreationally. That's, if you're an adult, go for it. I don't think children should be using it. I don't think teenagers should be using it, because there's information to show that it affects the brain negatively when the brain is not fully mature. So I'm against that. But for adults, if you want to use cannabis, as long as you're not stoned and operating a motor vehicle, it's none of my business. Myself, I would never get behind the wheel of a vehicle under the influence of cannabis, because it affects my perceptions. To say it doesn't would be a lie. Of course it does, especially if I'm in a car. My perception of speed is not right. 30 miles an hour looks like 120 to me. And that's why you see my awesome wife doing the driving most of the time. Well, all the time in the videos I make of us in the car. She's not a cannabis user. She does the driving. Now, if we have to take a long trip, then I don't use cannabis that day and I do the driving and then that evening when we've reached our destination or the motel, I'll have me some cannabis then, let me assure you. For me, cannabis is medicine. And I just, one day, maybe I won't need it anymore. That'll be fine. Won't break my heart a bit, because even as a legal medical patient in the state of Florida, it is very expensive. A couple of quick points. I do not use CBD products. A lot of people want to attribute me using CBD products. Say they want to know what kind of I don't use CBD products. I never have. I tried them once and it was a big nothing burger for me. No impact whatsoever. No changes in mood, no pain reductions, no nothing. It was like just inhaling water vapor. So, but I use dispensary grade legal cannabis from legal dispensaries here in the state of Florida. And it works wonderfully for me. Maybe it'll work wonderfully for you. I don't know. You have to try it. If you're interested, if it's legal in the state that you live in, please have at it. But I get asked about it a lot. I wanted to take the time just to share my experience and my thoughts about it. I'm not one of the, hey man, let's all go get stoned. I got too much to do. And it has enhanced my life immensely. I'm extremely blessed because of cannabis. And because of cannabis, I learned about carnivory. Listen, my friends, do the things you need to do to take care of you today, and always enjoy your Wednesday. Eat your meat, drink your water. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a fantastic day. And remember, you've got something to be thankful for. Take care.